What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Knives of the Round Table. My name is Marco, and today we're gonna be talking about the Chaves Ultramar Redencion 229. And about 5 or 6 months ago, I declared this knife one of the knives of the round table, one of the top 10 knives in my collection. And stick around in the review, I'll tell you why that is. And if you stick around till the very end, I'll also tell you why by the time this video is published, it will no longer be in my collection. So stay tuned for that, and let me give you a tour of the knife. So the Ultramar series is analogous to Enrique Peña's X series. So Ramon Chavez is a custom knife maker, and he has his production knives done by Reate. And it's a way of bringing knives to a more affordable level so that more people can afford them. And what you have here is, so this is the drop point version of the knife. There's a tanto version of the knife that, in my opinion, looks very similar to the drop point version. Just the angle of this kind of changes. They look very similar in my eyes. So this is the drop point version. And what you have here is a beautiful compound grind with a nice swedge. You have this very aggressive jimping. You have Chavez's logo on that side. It's M390 steel. It's deployed by thumb stud only. And it's a titanium frame lock. It has a lock bar insert / over travel stop that you have here. And Chavez, a very controversial skull clip. You have these beautiful 2 slabs of titanium that are not milled internally, and you have this back spacer that sits really nicely flush with the rest of the knife. It's an incredible knife. It's an incredible knife, but it is a big boy. Let me show you here some size comparisons. That is the Paramilitary 2, so that's probably the best size comparison right there. And that's the Paramilitary 3. So, handle wise, you're looking at, very similar to the Para 2, but it's a big boy, and it's not a thin knife. There's your comparison in thickness with the Para 2. It's a substantial knife. I'll say it that way. Let me show you against the Benchmade bug out here and the mini bug out. So those are your size comparisons. So this is not a knife that is going to disappear in your pocket. This is a knife that is there, but it's not going to disappear, especially because people will focus on that clip, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But let me start in the review, and let's talk ergonomics. You see, the ergonomics on this knife are actually very good. And there's knives that you can see that they're gonna be ergonomic, right? If I show you the Para 2, right? Just imagining it, you see, that you got some finger grooves, you got a palm swell, you have all of these things that kind of give you an idea that the knife is going to be ergonomic, right? You don't have that with the Ultramar, with the Redencion. You do have this finger groove, but other than that, it looks very boxy, very squarish. But the chamfering that you have here makes the knife very comfortable in the hand, and for such a neutral shape, it's actually remarkably comfortable. Now the jimping is very aggressive, okay, and you can feel it in your fingers. So that's a thing, okay? You can feel, and there's kind of a hot spot right on this corner. The transition between this chamfer and that plane and that plane right here, it creates kind of a sharp point right there in the back. And in a saber grip, where your hand kind of goes here in the back, it puts a dent right in there in my hand. So I wear large gloves, so I think a hammer grip is much more comfortable for me, because this point it ends up in the air. So a hammer grip is very comfortable. A saber grip, not so much, because you get the hot spot right here, and then your finger kind of wants to land on the jimping, and it's an aggressive jimping. So in this position, the ergonomics are actually very good. In saber, there's issues there. So action. Oh my god, the action. It's thumb stud only, but it deploys, it fires so nicely. It deploys incredibly well when it just fires so nice. And it has this very controlled closing action that is just phenomenal. You know, I've said this a bunch of times now, but because Reate produces knives for so many makers, and they you know, there's a lot of eyeballs on their knives, right? Ramon Chaves is making sure that everything looks right. Enrique Peña is also looking and make sure that their knives are correct, and Beg Knives is also looking. So they have a lot of eyeballs on their knives, and I think they've honed their craft to where they have, you know, really perfected the action, the fit and finish. Man, these grind lines. Let me see if I can make sure that I capture them. The grind lines, you know, as you transition from one side to another, is just from the swedge to the tip to the hollow grind of the blade, you know, is tremendous. And the action, you know, Reate has really dialed it in. It's one of the best actions that you'll ever feel. And my preference is always flippers, but man, the thumb stud deployment on this is so satisfying to deploy. It's just tremendous. The action is on this knife, it is phenomenal. It's really good. Now, cutting with this knife, so shallower cuts. So it's a thick blade. Let me try and show you the blade thickness here. So there's your blade thickness comparison. So, you know, a good 30 or 50% thicker than a pair 2. Okay, so it's a really thick blade. But for shallower cuts, you know, because it's a hollow grind, it gets down to a very thin edge. It's you know, for shallower cuts, this cuts really nicely. And I like, look, anyone who's seen my channel knows that I love a compound grind, just because of the looks, but also because of the, you know, because the fact that you don't have to worry about your tip. It's such a robust tip. You know, it's much it's much more robust. It's stronger than a tip like that, you know, because there's much more material that carries on through here. So for piercing, it's I would trust this tip a lot more. Obviously, this is a sharper tip, but I would trust this one more. And for shallower cuts, you know, cuts that go about right there, you know, cardboard or leather on a flat surface, opening packages, that kind of stuff, this will do great. For other tasks, it does relatively well, but you start to get into the wedge section of the knife, where the blade gets really thick. If you try to push through cardboard, you know that the cut starts out really well, and then you start to kind of wedge the cardboard out as you get towards the flat here. So the cutting is outstanding for shallow cuts. It's okay for through cuts, but I would say that this is it's a really nice cutting tool, is what I would say. The fit and finish on Reate knives are, you know, just outstanding. I can't find a lot of flaws with the production of these knives. Like I said, because they have a lot of people kind of doing a QA QC for them, right? AKA the knife maker, right? I think they've honed their craft to where they produce an outstandingly beautiful, well-made, perfectly centered, you know, incredible action. As you can see here, it's perfectly centered. It's just an incredible knife. So I'll say it again. Reate, in my estimation, has become kind of the benchmark for OEM and manufactured knives. That's the reason they're always busy. They make knives for so many people, and I just think they become the premier OEM for high-end production knives. That's what I really think, and I think their reputation is well deserved. In my estimation, they produce some of the best knives that I have in my collection, especially, I'll say it again, the action. This low blade drop that you have here is just so satisfying, so smooth, very nice. It runs on bearings, by the way, in case I didn't mention that. But just fit and finish on this knife is outstanding. Now, airing of grievances, I just a couple. One is, and it's not so much a grievance, more of an observation. I've grown. This skull clip has grown on me. Okay, I've got to say, it's grown on me. But for a lot of people, this is what prevents them from carrying this otherwise outstanding knife. And for the longest time, Ramon Chaves said that that was part of his brand, and he was gonna stick it out, and that's the way that it was gonna be. Not anymore. Not anymore. And the reason this knife is not gonna be in my collection anymore is because I just received the Chaves Ultramar Redencion Street. So as you can see, it's the same knife in just a smaller package, right? I've always told you that my ideal blade length is 3¼ inches, and guess what? It's 3¼ inches. And the reason that it's my ideal blade length is because when I put 4 fingers on this handle, okay, when I put this on the scales, I basically fit perfectly. There's a little bit of extra here, okay, but I land just very nicely. And I don't need more blade for my tasks, okay, my personal use. Now, when I grab this one, okay, it's very comfortable, okay, but I end up with, probably 3/4 inch of extra handle, and I wear large gloves. So this is a much better size for me, okay? And what's happened is that, so here you can see that the skull clip is carried also, but in the box of the new, and I will do a review of the Redencion Street, which is outstanding, but in the box now for the Redencion Street, you get an extra pocket clip. So you get the choice between having the skull or a regular pocket clip, and I think that's just phenomenal. That's what should happen, right? Man, and I even suggested, that if Ramon Chaves wants to sell pocket clips, for the 229, which is a different pocket clip, by the way. You can see that the screws are on the outside. There's no screws over here. I think he would make a killing, okay, if he decided to start making clips, sell them for whatever, 75, 50 bucks for this knife. So the reason this one is gonna be leaving my collection is because I finally got this one, and the fact that you can change the pocket clip. In other words, if I'm going somewhere where people might be more sensible to me having a skull hanging out of my pocket, then I'll just change it for a regular pocket clip. And the size of this one is my ideal size. I think this is a phenomenal knife. I really do. I named it one of the 10 best knives in my collection. It's going to be replaced by the Redencion Street, which is my ideal size knife. It's a 3¼ inch blade for my EDC tasks, for everything that I use a knife for. 3¼ inches is more than adequate blade. The blade on the other one is 3½, so it's not like it's much larger blade, but between the handle, between the scales, and you can see the size difference. If I put him if I align the butts of the knife, right around there, you can see it's probably a whole inch bigger. So the reason this one's going away, it's a bit, in comparison, this is a better size for me, and the fact that you can do this pocket clip, and you know, if I don't want to, like I said, the skull's grown on me, so I will keep this one, this skull for a while. But if I ever need to, I know that I can have the regular pocket clip, and I think this was an outstanding move by Ramon, and in his design of the Redencion Street. I think this is, for my size of hands, is just a much better knife. So guys, an outstanding, phenomenal knife that I named one of the 10 best knives in my collection. I'm gonna link the top 10 knives video so you can see the other knives of the round table. And if you liked it, and if you enjoyed it, and if I earned it, then like and subscribe. Don't get notified. Nobody likes to get more notifications. You know where to find my content if you want to see my videos. And until I see you at the next one, take care, guys.